nerdy. Fingertips too white and nerdy. Can't you see I'm white and nerdy?
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Taco Truck of Destiny. We are the newest members of the infamous podcast universe, and we want to thank you for joining us this week. We are your source for all things nerd related. From superheroes and comic books to action figures, trading cards, sci-fi and fantasy movies, and everything else nerd related. If it appeals to geeks, dorks, nerds, or even spazzes, we're going to discuss it. So our topic tonight is going to be the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. I am the action figure junkie, and as always with me is my partner in geek, Wade.
This is where I'm going to have to chime in and protect the Power Rangers, and I'm going to have to be the Rangers to the Rangers, because I know Junkie over here is going to sit there and try to rip them apart. Let's see how this goes.
Yes, well, see, we're going to have two, competing views, because I am of a generation where the Power Rangers were not quite cool, and you are. So I don't think they're that cool. You do. Maybe you can bring me over to your side. But what I think we should do is this kind of will dovetail. Before we go into the Power Rangers, I want to give the people who listen to our podcast, hopefully more than two of them, a little backstory as to why we are the way we are, why we are nerds, and why any of you should give a shit about our opinion.
We want to give you our credentials.
Our cred, our nerd cred. You can have street cred. We can have dork cred.
It's not, well, the fact is, it takes more than just, I'm a nerd, I'm a geek, to say, okay, you can't go into a store, buy something Harley Quinn, and claim yourself to be a geek or a nerd or someone who's into that. What you are is, there's the bandwagon fans, and I'm sorry, there's a lot of them out there, and they buy the stuff that's marketed based off of movies, and
sure,
that's how that goes. I mean, that's how it's been since almost the dawn of television.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've catered to our love of that form of entertainment,
right?
And then they make the toys, the lunch boxes, the shirts, the special edition high seas, and you know what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying. We are not, however, bandwagon jumpers. Your name, Wade, means you have an affinity for Deadpool that has been around long before Ryan Reynolds put on that sexy red and black unitard. You've been a fan way back.
Yeah, my first run-in with Deadpool was at New Mutants '98, and for anyone says I've loved Deadpool, since day one, and I said, "What's day one for you?" And I said, "Oh, when I saw the movie, I'm like."
What movie? Because if it's like, Wolverine Origins, then shut the fuck up.
Well, in all due fairness, that was a catalyst to create what Ryan Reynolds put out.
We thank God.
But no, New Mutants '98 back in, it was 92. 92. It was 92. February of 92, which I thought was symbolic of, Deadpool getting released February of last year.
Yes.
It was its 25-year mark.
That was on purpose.
That was on purpose.
That was so
and
cool.
it was really good, and I thought that through. I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, it's February.
Yeah.
What is this? And I'm like, oh. Oddly enough, it was my birthday, too. It was birthday.
Wait, when is your birthday?
February 8th.
Nice.
So it came out February 10th.
Nice.
So I saw it February 9th. I saw it twice in one day. So I went to the first early screening of it in 3D IMAX. Mm-hmm. Then I went to my employee showing at the place that I work at.
Sweet.
And the next day I saw it again.
Yes.
And by the time the weekend was over, I'd already seen it 4 times.
So would you say that X had given it to you? Would you say X is going to give it to you? Or would you say X had given it to you?
I said, Wade gave it to me.
Shit, yeah, son. So let's go back. Let's go back in time to the wee origins of Wade. Where did you first realize that you were into nerd type things? Because it seems like what makes us what we are is I'm in my early 40s, you're in your early 30s. We're still into all things geek related. Now, most kids, that's the thing, the shit that we're into, most kids are. But what sets us apart from other people
is when if you keep following it long after
you don't grow out of
you've
it.
changed that size of shirt. We're going back a hot minute. I knew I was into the fun stuff, the Ninja Turtles.
Right.
He-Man was a little bit before my time, but it was still very relevant and early when I came into it, along with Thundercats, G.I. Joe,
the good stuff,
Ghostbusters.
The real Ghostbusters.
The real
cartoon.
Ghostbusters, not the one with the gorilla. I never got that one.
Yeah, no, not at all.
But I had a love for cartoons and just real fun fantasy stuff like that. And then moving into comics, what did it for me really was, do you remember the old Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends?
Hell yeah, love that cartoon.
Okay, so
Firestar and Iceman.
yeah, it came out before I was born.
Yeah, that was
But
early 80s.
It was that point. I was born in '84.
Yeah.
They started re-releasing those on VHS.
Mm.
And I can't remember where I got it at, but I looked at it and I remember Spider-Man on the front, Firestar in the back, and Iceman, of course, doing his little Iceman super slide thing on it. And I thought to myself, Mom. So we got it. And of course, VHS, for any of you who don't know what that is, it's a thing. It's a great relic from the past.
A lot of people know it from porn.
Yes,
That's
and
where-
they
yeah.
find the porn, those ones. Well, we got Debbie Does Dallas on VHS Deluxe Edition, but I never got a Deluxe Edition for a VHS.
Well, the deluxe edition is just more dick. So
More penetration in
Debbie,
there.
yeah, Debbie has
Anyways,
more cocks.
Debbie's Done Dallas a long time ago. But no, I started watching that, and it triggered me because a lot of people don't get this, that Firestar and Iceman,
Dichotomy.
they're mutants. People that I didn't know anything about Firestar to begin with.
Right.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, ooh, shoots fire and flies around. Fuck, it's great.
And well, easy on the eyes, let's be honest. That I wonder if the carpet matched the drapes. I still wonder to this day.
Yeah.
Flaming red hair.
I never thought about it at that age.
Okay. I'm sick.
Yeah, you need...
Sorry, moving on.
Okay, keep going. So I started reading into X-Men because they'd have, like, not the comic books, but those little kids' books that you could get from, like, the elementary school. You know what I'm talking about? The ones that, like, Scholastic would put out with a quick adventure of Spider-Man or a quick adventure with one of the X-Men.
Yes.
And it was nothing really significant. It was like they were trying to
It was marketing.
defeat
from Marvel.
Magneto from derailing a train. Something as simple as that. And that's what drove me into it. And I kept following it even after it run its initial course earlier on in the early 90s, late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been following it to this day.
So as you grew up, you didn't grow out of your love of...
No, and I can thank Hollywood for doing this to me. They just plunged. They gave me the live action version that I wanted to see that. I'd call it a tangible thing for me because I could actually see Spider-Man live action in some great adventure that he had on screen,
Right.
as opposed to it just being a completely one-dimensional drawing. And I know it's evolved over time, and that's not what I'm going for. We're not going into the 3D aspects of anything, just off of what I grew into.
Right.
So seeing Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, I shit myself.
I know. Seeing that on screen for the first time, or even the trailers, I remember every hair on my body just standing straight up. I got the tingles because because of the innovation of the web slinging. I forget what they had a title for it, like the cam, the spider cam or something like that. It's a camera they actually had designed on those cables to swing through the cities, and you get to see Spider-Man's POV, and you get to see him doing.
And that was just cool.
Oh my god! It was
So that's where it came from. And also in the 90s, the early 90s is what we're going to cover today. Power Rangers came on, and as campy as it was, as very cheesy as a lot of the effects were, and you could tell, like in the first season or two, they used cut footage from the Japanese version of it. And a lot of people don't realize this, and you're going to hate me for it, but your Voltron got its cue off of Power Rangers. And I'm not talking about the Super Sentai. I'm not talking about the Dinosaurs. I'm not talking about the ones that premiered on our American shores in the 90s. I'm talking about the ones that came out in 75. Giant robots, heroes that manned them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's going back old school Japanese. So I can take it back for you to where my interest in all things nerd started. As you know, it all starts with kids. You're a young boy in the 80s, as me. There's a lot of great things that are starting. G.I. Joe, Transformers, the aforementioned Voltron, He-Man, all that shit. It's all great, and I'm super into it. However, as I'm growing and I'm hitting puberty and digging on chicks, I'm still interested in all things superhero, fantasy, sci-fi, all that stuff. And it becomes a bit of a... I remember where I really realized that I was always going to be a nerd. Is I was about 18 and got my first real relationship with a real girl.
life woman.
As opposed to
She let me touch her.
Yeah, she actually let me touch her boobies. So she wanted to go out on dates. And it was either spend money on comic books or spend money on dates. Now, comic books are great, but they're not going to get me laid. So I had to stop buying comic books for a while. But,
Well, back in your time, now that's a very debatable thing.
What do you mean? Well, but when I was a comic book collector, it wasn't like I read 1 or 2 or 4 or 5 books a month. It was like 12.
Mm-hmm.
Easy 12. I mean, it was every dollar I ever made went to comic books. So I had to save money for dates. So there was a period in my life, but even when I stopped collecting books, I was also an avid G.I. Joe action figure collector, and that was under the table.
This is where your PVC fascination came from.
Absolutely. This is why I'm an action figure junkie. There was only about four years in my life where I didn't collect some form of action figure or another, and that was 21 to 25, because they had just slowed up. The market they weren't out in the market. So between the ages of 7 and 42, there's only been about 4 years where I haven't had at least 20 sick figures in my collection. So,
and guys, that's, take it for what it is. He collects toys and he still has a kid. That means he consistently gets laid. Maybe once a month now, but he's living the dream right now. It can happen. They will touch you,
and you don't have to pay them. So,
I mean, technically, what is dating?
Yeah, you pay them to touch you. Charlie Sheen said, "I don't pay prostitutes to have sex with me. I pay them to leave." Very smart. So anyway, we have established our nerd cred. I think my first toy was a Spider-Man. My first cartoon was a Spider-Man. My first comic book was Amazing Spider-Man number 280, and I still have it. And I had bought them from time to time as a kid, but I kind of would read it and throw it away. Never thought much of it. Then Spider-Man gets a black costume, and I'm just like, this is amazing. He looks incredible. Actually, he looks spectacular. He looks amazing. He looks... What's another word Spider-Man uses?
His ass looks great in black latex.
Yeah. So I had to pick up a copy. And then I had to go back to the comic book store the next day and pick up the one before it and the one after it. And that was it. Take off. So comic books for life and toys. So still love all the shit that loved from a childhood. You and I were talking about the nostalgia factor, that everything that we're into now was basically a product of something from our youth, and that's how most things are made. I mean...
Well, it works. It's just rewrapping something, making it new and shiny again.
Yeah.
And selling it to our kids.
Yeah.
That's just the way it's going to go, and it works. It's a very, very good business.
But these stories, like these old comic book stories, my whole life was about them. I would go back and read back issues reprinted, like classic X-Men and Marvel Tales featuring Spider-Man. So when I actually read the Dark Phoenix saga, and I got to the last page where Jean Grey died, I cried like a bitch. When I read the Green Goblin killed Gwen Stacy, I cried like a bitch. And I'll freely admit that on this podcast. That's how wrapped up in these comic books I got. So it's hard to distance myself now from things that relate to that. So we're nerds, and we're proud of it. Nerds unite. Pound that bitch.
Just the tip. So we're going to be talking about Power Rangers, and you're the big naysayer on them just because it was a generational thing. Yeah, I get that. The funny thing is, because of the way the medium for presenting levels of entertainment, whether it be movies or TV shows, has progressed since you were making pictures with stone on wall, to now we have Netflix and we can stream them at any time. Power Rangers has been one of those. It's just thrived off of it, because I remember that first episode because it was on Fox Kids, and I about lost it, and I can't remember who the first bad guy was.
Oh, come on.
But I want to say it was the Pudgy Pig.
I'm sure
No. It was either the Pudgy Pig or Goldar. just because they were putting their stamp on things.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure you're right.
But I thought it was great, these teenagers, relatable at the time, because of course I'm about to progress into my teenage years, that, just high schoolers, just no real importance in their life, hang out at school. They became friends through this alien head in a tube. Yeah, it seemed funny at the time, or it seemed really cool at the time. Now I just look back on it and kind of chuckle because it was kind of cheesy, but I think that was kind of cheesy. No, listen,
the production values of those high school scenes made Saved by the Bell look like the Avengers. Okay, that was so bad.
But that was the point. It was that Haim Saban decided to go ahead and bring this show over and westernize it because he saw something good when he was in Japan. And it was the ultimate combination of superheroes and sci-fi. Especially relatable. It was geared towards kids. I don't care who, how you want to say what it was or where it came out of. Who's playing the teenagers.
No, it's cool. It's totally geared for kids. And I was just too old, and that's like why.
But I wasn't, and I thought this was great. Going into the dinosaurs. Of course, what kid doesn't like a giant dinosaur, let alone one that's fucking robotic and can combine? Granted, of course, these beasts, these 5 Zords, were completely not existent at the same time in any form or fashion during the prehistoric era.
No, they didn't.
No, the Sabretooth was not necessarily laughing with a T-Rex. It's not necessarily what goes on. No. But I thought it was great. You turn them into robots that can combine.
Okay, so that's cool. No, it's cool, but I don't want to talk shit about Power Rangers. It's just I totally realized that it just wasn't my generation. I don't have an interest in it basically because of the year I was born. Because when it came out, and I would have to watch it because I had a brother who's your age, Jester on the Infamous Chronicles. He was a fan. He would watch it, and I would just sit in the room, and all I could see was the cheesy production value, which if I was 5 years younger, I wouldn't give a shit. I could see how everything to me was derivative, specifically of Voltron and Transformers, because I collected here's what I collected most from the Transformers, no joke. Had every Dinobot. Me, Grimlock. Love that dude. And the Constructicons.
Yeah, okay.
Dude,
I'll give you that.
Looking at Power Rangers going, come on, man, this is just a ripoff of what I like. But I can't, I'm sorry. That's just me hating because it was a different age. But if it struck a nerve with so many people of a slightly younger age that to this day, you and guys like you are like, fuck yeah, let's go see it.
This is... I fell in love with it because I love the Megazord. Everyone loves the Megazord.
Well, you're gonna have to talk to me. You remember
the Megazord is what
reference.
The Megazord is what happens when you combine all the lions. In your Voltron universe, but this is when all the 5 Dinozords turn into that big giant machine, and they end up beating monsters that they can't ever, do individually as Zords. They need extra power.
Got it.
Because now there's 500 feet tall, yada, yada, yada.
Is that when they would fight on the scenes that were filmed in Japan that were like scenes left over from Godzilla, and every time somebody would hit somebody with a sword, the cool spark effect?
Yeah. Instead of like blood or anything, it's an explosion.
I gotta say, that spark effect every time a person would get struck with a weapon from one of the bad guys and there was a cool spark effect, I have to say, that was kind of cool because there was no visible... mechanism that did it or a squib or something, and I still don't know how they did that.
Well, the thing is, like, the Japanese they're awesome at producing this kaiju monster movies. Since Godzilla, the Gamras,
right,
all of those super giant monster movies, they got this down to a science, and they're fucking good at it.
No, there's a few things the Japanese do really well.
But even
make cars, make giant robot commercials or cartoons, fight, business, golf, but taking over the world is not one of them.
Ooh, we're taking it to sad territory. But no, they did recycle footage from that show, into this one, and it happened for quite a few episodes until they realized this show is catching on. This is great. This is huge. And that's when you started seeing them build on their own.
Was that within the first season? Or
no, it was not within the first season. It was within... what I want to say it was like the first 3 that had happened.
So for the first 3 seasons, they're incorporating scenes from other previously created Japanese shows.
Yeah, like when they're in costume and fighting, most of those were the Japanese counterparts. Same suits, same everything. It's just they're in costumes now fighting a monster, so we don't necessarily we dub it over with, the voice actors. Your money.
But the costumes were brilliant because from what I remember, the Power Rangers had helmets where it looked like a mouth, but it didn't move.
Exactly.
Therefore, the person inside could be speaking gibberish.
Yep.
Let alone Japanese or English. It doesn't matter. So that was
and
smart.
it was good. It progressed into it, and this is where my all-time favorite Ranger came from, and I follow this guy even to this day, and I'm actually sporting the beanie and the shirt.
He has a restraining order against you, doesn't
No,
he?
he doesn't. I don't think so. But everyone who's
50 yards, you're supposed to stay away.
everyone who's loved Power Rangers growing up is gonna be very familiar with Tommy.
With who?
With Tommy.
Tommy.
Like, he was the original Green Ranger. The first. Let's put it this way: he was the first badass Ranger ever to come to the Power Rangers line, because they always added a 6th Ranger at some point during the show because they dealt such a threat came through that they couldn't deal with all 5, and then somehow another Ranger makes themselves known, and they join forces and end up kicking ass. But this guy was originally an evil Ranger controlled by the bad guys.
Whoa.
And he was whooping 5 other Power Rangers' asses.
Wow.
They couldn't stop him.
Wow.
They finally had to talk him out of it. They had to talk him down, get him off of his high. And that's where the Green Ranger came along. And I remember that 5-part Green with Evil series. Whew.
They talked him down?
Well, Red Ranger did.
Tell me they did something more than just talk him into changing his side. Was he being mind controlled by the villains?
Yeah, it was being mind controlled.
So he wasn't inherently an evil dick.
He wasn't.
The villains had control of his mind. Of mind control.
But it was also each Ranger had a power coin that was significant of the Zord that they had and their power. Now, the 6th Ranger coin was controlled by the bad guy, the Rita Repulsa. She had a power coin, and she used it to create the Green Ranger, and thus controlling him.
So like Loki did to Hawkeye in Avengers.
Yeah, and then they broke the spell on him. He kept everything, and he became the biggest badass ever to walk the face of the Power Rangers universe. And he also eventually became the White Ranger because the Green Ranger power ran out, yada, yada, yada. Whatever, the White Ranger, sorry.
So that why your shirt, for those of you listening, he has a shirt that says green with evil. And the green is spelled out in green letters. With evil is white. Is that why?
No, that's just the way this was put.
But
that's just the way it was. I didn't design the shirt. I just sporting it.
Is that a white helmet on the bottom? Because he becomes the White Power Ranger? Is that a helmet?
No, that's not a helmet.
Oh.
That's that's the Green Ranger's coin. It's a dragon claw.
Oh, okay.
And he had his Zord was the Dragon Zord, which was still by far like it could destroy the Megazord itself just because it was such a badass Zord.
So this guy who becomes a Green Ranger, he's obviously super badass. He can kick all their butts. They get him on their side. Was he like the fucking Zach Morris of the Power Rangers? Was he just a pimp dude, good looking guy, tall, buff? Like
he was exactly
chicks?
that.
He was Zach Morris.
Yeah,
right?
he was making the girls swoon.
Really?
Yeah, and so when Tommy walked into the room, it's like,
Tommy.
oh, shit's about to get real.
Did he ever bang a pink Power Ranger?
No.
Why not?
I mean, I don't know. They had
ever
a love story somewhere in there, but I don't know if they...
Also, was maybe he interested in the male Power Rangers?
No, not that I know.
Did he ever have sex with a Power Ranger?
I don't know. Probably, if you want to go into fan fiction,
No,
I'm sure we
I
could
don't
create
know.
this up.
I mean, on the show, they never hooked up.
No, they never did. I think
Not
they
like
kissed
Zach and
once.
Kelly. And
No,
then,
this
and
is
then
not
Zach
Saved
and
by the Bell.
Lisa.
This is Save the World.
And then
There is more important things to do with your life when the Angel Grove is at stake than there is to worry about Amy Jo Johnson and Kimber and her character Kimberly. Because I'm going to say this right now, she was my first real crush. I think she was a lot of people's first crush.
then another Power Ranger should have been tapping that ass.
Whatever they do in their own personal time when they're not saving the world, I'm not following them around.
There's been other.
What happened when your lions went down for the night?
That's bullshit. Because that was a cartoon. They weren't live action. I think most of them were children. No. Well, one or two of them was. Anyway,
I don't know what they do in their free time.
but I don't care. Even if you're saving the world, you still you need a little time for some sexy time. Ask Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She was banging Angel nearly the entire series, and she was young and hot and saving the world. So I understand if your priorities are you gotta save the world, but you also gotta get some ass.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that they probably had their time together.
All right, I'm gonna go with that. That's my
I'm sure
fantasy.
they did, but it's not something that was covered in a 30-minute block.
That's a shame. Fox, you got to get on that. So you saw the movie, though.
I've seen it 3 times already.
3 times already. It's been out for about 10 minutes, and you've seen it 3 times.
Yeah.
Okay, any hookups in that movie?
No.
Fuck, what the... Fox, dude, you're missing...
That's not the point of this. That is definitely not the point of this story.
All right.
So, like I said, they're grown-ass adults. They probably have, I don't know, they go over for Netflix and chill after they beat Rita for the day. That's fine, but it's not covered when they beat, because I don't care about them Netflixing and chilling. I care about them getting in the Zords and kicking some ass.
When beat Rita, tell me that is, if that isn't a sexual euphemism, I don't know what the fuck it is.
Yeah, nickname my penis Rita. I gotta beat
Rita like she owes you money.
I gotta save the world all the time.
So tell me about this new movie. Now, it's not getting terrific ratings. I think it's interesting because on Rotten Tomatoes, the critics are giving it somewhere in the low 40s. However,
Like
the
46%.
yeah, or lower. Let's be honest. I think it's 43. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The users have it up in the high 80s.
Yeah, it's like 87.
So
I'm going to chime in on this and interrupt you quite rudely. This is why I feel that people need to think for themselves. And if there's something they think they want to go see it. Rotten Tomatoes has proven themselves to just not be correct.
well,
And
they're just the messenger. They just
they're
tally the
just the
votes.
messenger. At the same time, they're tallying the votes from who?
From reviewers all over the country.
Who are going to immediately knock something if it's a reboot.
Well, that's true. It already
And
gets... Yeah,
it's got like...
It's got an uphill climb. in some
Yeah,
shapes,
it's
but-
they're going to start it off at like, Shitsville and hope that it goes up to Crapdown,
yeah, the very best it can hope for.
Yeah, but no, this is great. It's kind of dark, and I won't say like vile dark, but they're dealing with very real world problems. Some of them have huge identity issues. This is the first time that we've seen a ranger who's autistic.
Oh,
There's
Jesus.
an autistic ranger in it.
Wow. Are any of them like illegal immigrants? Do they have to worry about climbing a wall or anything?
It's Angel Grove. I don't know. It's middle America. I don't think so.
You said real world problems.
They can't. There's how many real world problems I could deal with in an hour and a half.
Yeah, getting laid is one of them.
Apparently,
they don't.
that might be your problem, but
Trust me, I'm married. It is.
but no, it's great because it's funny. It's got a campy feel to it, but it's not overwhelming
Okay.
because they want to kind of keep it true to where it originated from. And you're going to see throwbacks to and Easter eggs regarding those, whether it be certain references that they said in the original show, or when they bring the Zords finally make their appearance in there.
What is a Zord?
Zord is their vehicle that they pilot. These ones, there's 5 original ones. You have the Mastodon.
What color is the Mastodon? Mastodon is like a woolly mammoth, right?
Yes, the Mastodon's going to be the black one.
Black. Okay. Mastodon.
Triceratops, which is the blue.
Blue.
Pterodactyl, which is the pink.
Pterodactyl.
Saber-toothed tiger, which is the yellow.
Saber-toothed tiger. Yellow.
And the Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is red.
Okay. That's cool. What was the green one?
Green one was the Dragon Zord, but it won't. It's not going to be covered until the sequel. And I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, if you've been following any of the online reviews or anything about this movie at all, you've already seen the discussion. Well, is Rita a ranger or not? Come on, I'm not going to insult any of your intelligence.
Thank you.
But you're going to go ahead and see that coin in her staff.
Of course you are.
It's right there. It's one of the biggest things you could see. It's all over the place.
Next to the Green Ranger's penis, obviously.
I mean, if you want to see the Green Ranger's penis, that's fine with me.
Who says I don't?
No one.
So
well, you have a thing for plastic, so I'm sure we could deal with this.
Sure, plastic penis. So the Green Ranger is a dragon. So they mix fantasy along with history, poorly cataloged, to have the saber-toothed tiger and the Mastodon may have been at the same time period.
But a saber-toothed tiger and a T-Rex were...
No, not so much.
Yes, we get that.
So
and the Dragon Zord, there's no Dragon Zord or Tommy
Tommy.
in this movie. This is
no
the
Tommy at
origin
all.
story. This is the origin story.
So there's the 5 of them.
There's the original 5.
And they make the body, like one is a head, one is an arm, one is a leg, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
What does Tommy become? Is he like
the
a hump
Dragon
on the
Zord,
back, or he's like
the Dragon Zord actually
a tail?
it has a couple different modes, so it can attach to different parts of the Zords and become its own Megazord, or it can attach to the Megazord itself and become the Dragon Megazord.
Oh,
which is just a whole lot of weaponry. At
oh,
one
okay.
time.
So
It's-
like in Transformers 3 when Optimus Prime gets all that armor, and
yeah,
he's
when
like
he
ready to fuck shit up.
yeah, it's sort of
Got
it's
it.
the same.
So you got to talk into my language.
It's this. Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna go ahead and put that in there. It's the same idea behind that. It goes ahead and gives it extra power, extra weaponry.
Dope.
Super cool.
Okay.
So
So we're gonna.
but there's no Dragon Sword in this.
So we're gonna get Tommy in the second one.
yeah, we're gonna have to.
Tommy the Green Ranger, who
Mhm.
pilots the dragon. Okay. Now, these are all in the movie. They're young. They're high school age kids,
Yep.
as they were in the show. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what actor do you think might play Tommy in the next movie?
I have no idea, but this is one of those things, especially since they liked the studio will want to appeal to the fan base, that they can't go. They got to be very careful casting
Mhm.
because
He's going to be a clean cut dude. No trouble with the law.
the Green Ranger is the only Tommy is the only Power Ranger that has consistently appeared throughout the Power Ranger show for the entirety of its run for 20 years. It's the same character. He has been Tommy Oliver in Power Rangers, in Power Rangers Zeo, in Power
Really?
Rangers Turbo, in Power Rangers Dino Thunder.
So, what is he, like the 40-year-old Ranger?
He enjoys doing it. He loves the fan base.
Does he age?
I mean, not badly. I mean,
What I'm saying is, if in the very first
in the
Power
storyline
Rangers-
he does. He's an old when it comes down to like fucking 12th iteration of the Power Rangers. He is
his kids could be Power Rangers at this point. He's got to be that old. He could be my age.
could be, but his character is aged appropriately throughout the storyline. And in one of like the 12th iteration, he's a archaeology professor, and he has found another way to become a ranger.
Jesus.
As he's mentoring another younger group of rangers to go ahead and defend the world.
Pretty soon you can have Ian McKellen play him.
Yeah.
He sounds old.
Yeah. We're not going to have Magneto in the Power Rangers lineage. Don't worry.
You should wish. You should be so lucky. That's Magneto. That's royalty.
It's Sir Ian McKellen.
You're goddamn right. Get on a knee.
And-
If Ian McKellen tells you to get down on a knee, you do.
I
And
probably would.
And I don't care what he asks you to do while you're down there. You do it.
That's a little far fetched, but I can see you doing that.
Shit.
You doing it with little Gandalf toy.
Fucking
Because I'm
Gandalf,
sure you
dude.
have a Gandalf toy.
Maybe I'm sitting on it. You shall not pass.
It passed all right.
Pass something.
And in regards to Power Rangers, the new version of Rita, I'm sorry, but she is dark and evil.
Rita is a villain.
Rita Repulsa is the villain.
Rita Repulsa?
Yeah.
That's a name straight out of Marvel comics from the 1960s.
Right.
Like
Just
Otto Octavius.
like Peter,
or something.
like Peter Parker.
Exactly.
Um,
Hey, I heard Stan Lee say why. Side note, real quick. I heard Stan Lee say recently why so many of the names that because he created a lot of those
Yeah.
names. It came out right of his brain. Why so many of them have alliteration? Simple. He just liked the way they sounded. He likes alliteration. If you go through a lot of Marvel Comics characters, especially the ones created in the 60s, a good dozen of them have alliteration.
well, yeah.
Susan Storm, on
Reed Richards,
on and on and on.
Ben
Bruce
well,
Banner,
not Ben Grimm.
Bruce Banner. Yeah, he just liked
Clark
alliteration.
Kent.
He thought it sounded cool. Clark Kent doesn't count, but maybe that's where
Well-
he got it from.
Well, no, I think that's. Let's be honest. It's not just Stan Lee. It's through us as humans. We'll adapt to something if we like the way it sounds.
Yeah.
We like pleasant sounding things.
Like
Now,
it-
if you
like
had,
you- like your
if you,
voice.
if you, yeah, I know this thing is. The ladies at home are probably sitting there wooing, and then they see me in person, like WTF, mate. But
Fucking hell.
where was I going with this?
I have no idea. Somewhere off the rails.
Oh yeah, with Rita again.
Rita.
Elizabeth Banks.
Really?
Oh.
Is that who plays it?
Yeah.
Elizabeth Banks, huh?
Ooh.
Wow.
Like she's super evil, but kind of,
Oh, yeah, you
on
totally
the on the little low key. I'd be like, well, what you doing later?
I'd fucking love. Yeah, Elizabeth Banks.
She's great.
She's always great.
And whatever she does.
Yeah, she's great.
Even
in
if she
Hunger
sucks
Games.
at it. Even if she sucks at it, I'm going to go ahead and say she wins.
Yeah, no, I like her. She's there's like a few actresses out there that get a lot of cool nerd cred because of all the roles they play. She would definitely
Zack and Miri
be
make porno.
No, I mean like Scarlett, like ScarJo.
She's overrated. I'm not a big fan.
I know. We've discussed this before, and I think you were dropped on your head as a child. But if you think
that's irrelevant.
but think about her roles. Like she appeals to a lot of nerds just because of the roles that she's in. She's a giant nerd wet dream. You know who else is another one is Adrienne Palicki. I dig her. She's on S.H.I.E.L.D. as Bobby Morse Mockingbird. She was in G.I. Joe as Lady J.
Okay, yeah. When she was in G.I. Joe, oh boy.
Fuck right, Lady J, right? Was she not hot? Have you seen John Wick? You've seen John Wick, right?
Yeah,
You're a human
of course.
being. You've seen
Yeah.
John Wick. She was the assassin, female assassin, John Wick. Right. So like, if I see that chick at Comic-Con, I'm getting an autograph quick. She's like a nerd chick. You know what I mean? We love her.
You're trying to digress from the Power Rangers.
No, I want to get back to Power Rangers because I really like picking your brain because this is one nerd topic.
Well,
I am just.
Do you
so
remember the same
unfamiliar
way
with.
you fell in love with the Voltron lions, right?
Yes.
When you finally had them and you could make Voltron.
Yeah, it took forever.
That's the same thing with me when I got the toys for my first Megazord. My first Megazord should be a children's bedtime book. But I opened the box, and this was like this is the biggest thing for Christmas of that year. Toys stores were sold out of everything Power Rangers. God forbid any of the Megazords came in. Those things were just gone that day. Somehow my parents were able to get those ones, and I opened up this Megazord, and I shat myself. It was great. And I put them together. I'm sitting there. I'm folding up the Triceratops because the way it was, you could fold in the legs, the front two legs on the Triceratops and the saber-toothed tiger, and then the heads. You'd flip them up, stand them, bring the tails down towards the back, lock them into place. Take the T-Rex, bend its knees in, which now its knees actually work as a plug, so you could plug them into the saber-toothed tiger and the Triceratops.
All right.
You'd crack it, or you'd go ahead and bring its tail, stick it to its back. Its chest would pull forward, and you could bring the T-Rex head into it and just put it away to where you now have the Megazord head.
Wow.
The Mastodon would fold open, and you could attach it from the back onto the Megazord now, and that was its arms, because the feet rotated around into fists, and then the pterodactyl, you could tuck the head in, and the little wings, the little hummingbird wings that it had, and pop it on the chest, and now that's its shield, its chest plate. And then you have the Megazord. It's fucking great.
No, that does sound pretty dope, but I gotta ask. You just went into a serious amount of specific detail as to how that toy worked and bent and was created. Are you going to sit there and tell me that you haven't played with one for 25 years? Or you have one at your house right fucking now, don't you?
I do not have a Megazord.
How do you remember that well?
Because it was one of those things that stuck.
That was like...
I could tell you how to do it with the Dragonzord, too.
That was like saying, Sean, tell me how you transform Jetfire from robot into the jet. Do you know what I'm talking about? The one that they took from Robotech?
Yeah. I could tell you how they did it with the Dragonzord, too. The Dragonzord was even better.
You're
because
impressive.
it had these little arms on it. The fingers were missile launchers. They fire rockets.
Wow.
But they had this gold kind of like armor around them. And what you do is you go ahead and fold those arms into it. You could pull those arms out and on front of it. And that would create another shield plate. You take the feet, bend them, or you wouldn't bend them, but you'd rotate them up. That would give you another little ankle plug that you could plug into the Triceratops or the saber-toothed tiger. Jesus. Bring the Mastodon, wrap it around it, drop the dragon's mouth, and it turned into a face. And bam, you had the Dragon Megazord.
Wow. Hours of fun.
It was the Dragon Megazord, the battle mode. And then you could do the other version, which is where you separate it in two. You wouldn't separate it in two, but there was this split on it to where you could kind of fold it apart and just like rest it right on top of the Megazord itself. And that's where all these weapons came from. I remember that like it was yesterday.
Do you remember what toy company made this behemoth?
Oh, Bandai.
Bandai, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
that
they're
explains a
still
lot.
making them.
That explains a lot. As an action figure junkie, I collected Gundam action figures. They made models. They still make models. Is kind of their bread and butter now.
Well, they still do. And I'm going to say a little side note. I manage a comic book store.
I know.
Up here in Simi Valley, and they still make those. That's still super popular.
So back in the early 2000s, they had a run for about 7 years, I want to say, where they mass-produced really quite cool 1/18 scale, so like 4-inch, between 3 3/4 inch and 4-inch. Some are even a little bit taller, maybe closer to 5-inch. But anyway, action figures of their robots, of the Gundam robots. And dude, I bought as many of them as I could. They stopped making them, I want to say, in mass-produced. These were sold fucking everywhere. Target, Save-On, whatever the fuck, for between $10 and $12. They were so
I know which one
good.
you're talking about.
Such good toys. Multiple hands, multiple weapons. Amazing. I still have a shit ton of them on display in my garage. I love them. If you want to buy them now, they still make those size. They're even more high quality articulated, but they are minimum $30 a pop. And they're harder to find as fuck. There's not many stores. They're not sold at your local retailer.
This is a side note on those. For anyone who's wondering why the prices of toys have changed so drastically from, I want to say, from the 90s to now. Remember how it used to be like $5 to $7 you could get yourself a 5-6 inch action figure?
Thanks, Obama.
Well, the reason behind that is because of the oil prices. For those for those who not understanding what I'm saying, what is plastic made of?
Refined oil. There you go.
And the price of oil will dictate the price of your plastic toys.
I was just, I hadn't thought of that. I just thought it was the quality of the toy, but I mean, that makes sense. Like your G.I. Joes in the 1980s were about $5 on the high end.
Mm-hmm.
It's like $5. Like, shit, man, I'm not going to Gemco. I'm going to
And you got
Kmart,
one of the big ass vehicles for $20 max.
Right. Now that's I buy action figures that I custom make on a website, and you can add the accessories and the weapons and great stuff, but with shipping, $30. Easy. I mean, they're high quality, amazing, like fucking unbelievably cool, but $30 for one figure. Mm-hmm. How do I resign myself to do that?
It's just...
I just do. I bought one of them for $30, and then pretty much every side bit of money I've ever made has gone to them. So
yeah, it's what happens when the price of oil goes up.
Well, dude, I mean, I am a junkie, so when I leave here, I have to go to the street. I have to go out on the corner with my pimp.
Just rub a toy on your vein.
Yeah, I give him 50%.
Smack it in there.
He gives me 50%. And I go buy toys. We do what we got to do to get what we want, Wade. That's what I'm saying.
Trust me, I know. I've affectionately called my closet the vault. Yeah, there is some clothes in there, but it's mostly collectibles ranging from statues to, action figures to boxes of comic books.
The room with a sticky floor.
It's carpet.
Ugh, gross.
So you don't want to put a black light in there. Ooh. Might get a little weird. But trust me, I understand your fix.
Fuck you put a black light in that room, it'll look like that iridescent algae that grows off of
it's modern art. It's going to look like modern art. It's like one of the big points in my collection is my Power Ranger stuff. I have gotten the SH figure arts for those who know what they are. It's just really high grade, highly detailed figures, and the prices on them can get stupid. But I thought it was worth it to where I would buy each of the Power Rangers. And I've gotten all of them signed by their respective actors.
Oh, geez, really?
Yeah, with the exception of the White Ranger, because I got that after last time I saw Jason David Frank.
Who's that?
Jason David Frank is the guy who played the original Tommy in the series.
Is that the name on your hat?
Yeah, I rep JDF.
Wow.
I'm telling you, that's
sounds a little like Paul Gosselaar.
Ooh,
Zach Morris. Yeah. It's interesting. 3 names right there. I'm sensing a trend here. Who was the Kelly Kapowski on the Power Rangers?
That would be Kimberly.
Kimberly. Hey, personal question.
Personal answer.
Do you ever rub one out to Kimberly? I read one out to Jesse, and by one I mean 1,000.
I don't think I ever did. I think that was before.
Oh, right.
Before
You're too
everything
young.
started kicking
Got
in.
it. Got it. Okay.
But at that point, I'm like, she's pretty, and I want to be around her.
yeah.
So,
She's pretty, and I want to be on top of her.
I mean, sure.
That's what happens a few years later.
Some dinner, some wine, some good vino.
Oh, you want a winer and diner?
Yeah, of course, you got to be classy, man.
You
don't just treat the Pink Ranger like she's nothing.
Fuck you. She's a Pink Ranger.
Yeah.
Have some respect.
Exactly.
That's Roller Girl, man. Have some fucking respect. Okay, so it's interesting that you're...
Another one of a big piece of my collection is...
Yeah.
So, I got the box set of seasons 1 and 3, the only ones that really mattered to me.
Now, is that because of your age or because of their quality?
Because of the Rangers in there. There's no serious continuity anymore with Power Rangers.
Yeah.
It's like they have 2 seasons and then they rotate into another version of Power Rangers with an entirely new cast.
Yeah.
This was the only one that's seasons 1, 2, and 3. They stayed in the same costume or the same suits. Granted, they went through different. They changed out a couple Rangers in there just because.
Jeez,
whatever.
Really, you get old. It sounds like Menudo.
Yeah.
You hit a certain age, you got to get kicked out of the group.
Yeah, pretty much. But I got that thing, and it's signed by all the Rangers I've met before. Some of the actors who played the monsters in there. The original, the Rita Repulsa voice for the American version of it.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there. I look at this thing every time I go home. I sit there. It's in my case, and I'm like, I am proud to be a Ranger fan. and I couldn't say that anymore, even after seeing this movie. And it's come a long way because I know we all saw the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, the one with that abomination of a CGI'd Megazord, the Ninja Megazord.
Wait,
that had that was the original
I
Rangers.
forgot about that movie.
And that was, I'm sorry, but
I know.
I'll still go back and watch it because I think it's fun.
When was it out? Was it in theaters? It had a theatrical release.
Mm-hmm.
When was that? Do you know?
I can't remember the year.
It was back in the 90s, right? Not long after the show had been on.
Yeah, I can pull it up.
If only we had a device.
Keep talking and naysaying, the Dragon Zord and all that.
If only we had some way of looking up information on the internet, I think it's called. Maybe someday technology will come along and we can...
Oh, and nothing is safe from Rotten Tomatoes because Rotten Tomatoes gave this a 39%. It wasn't even a thing back then. 1995.
Oh, geez. The show had only been on for like 2 years at that point, right?
Yeah. Well, 2, 3, yeah.
So they're like, cha-ching, let's capitalize on this and get some dollars.
And they did an amazing job just doing that, and still... I remember they they had the original toys. What they did is they put them in a movie box, gave them just reflective colored paint, and called them the movie versions of them, which are totally different suits than what's in the show. So I called bollocks on it, and I was very upset.
Yeah, that sounds like something Hasbro would do. No offense, Hasbro, but you fucking know that's like something you would do. This Black Widow has blue stripes down her legs, so she's the Avengers Age of Ultron Black Widow. She's nothing like the one you put out 2 years ago for the Avengers Black Widow. I know what you're talking about. Slap a little bit of paint on something, and you can re-release it for more dollars, and more goons like me will buy it.
Yeah, I'll totally do the same thing.
Yeah, I would have bought it if... I totally would have
I do that with Deadpool stuff. All the time.
Oh, yeah.
All the fucking time.
Oh, yeah. So I have 2 Deadpool action figures.
This is good. We're getting somewhere.
Yeah. X-Force gray and black, and standard red and black.
Do you know the only reason why they did the gray and black? To accentuate the blood splatter on them.
Oh, for the X-Force team, that's why they went gray and black? Really? Not just because they're Black Ops, dark type thing, and those colors seem to go well? Or that's the reason why? So they can show more blood on them?
Yeah. It's a color thing. Because gray and black, how tactical is that?
No, it seems pretty tactical. It seems dark, Night Ops type thing. Snake Eyes, gray, black.
I mean, Snake Eyes when he's all black.
Well,
different shades of black.
Plenty of Snake Eyes have gray and black.
Well, yeah, but these are also cartoon characters.
Wait a minute. What? You mean they're not real?
No.
You're crashing my world.
Yeah, it's reality. Sometimes someone's got to tell you it. That's what I'm here for. I'm a reality check of the group.
Well, I do not have a top 10 list tonight because I feel I failed you. What I wanted to create was a top 10 list of movies that were originally products of childhood shows, be it live action or cartoon, be it live action like Power Rangers or cartoon like, G.I. Joe, Transformers. I wanted to come up with a list of, don't worry, nobody can hear all the noise you're making into the microphone.
It's like a bull in the China store. It's great.
So I tried to come up with a list of good versions of live action movies that were taken from our childhood properties.
Yeah, do you still
and I got about 4.
Yeah, let's go ahead and cover those 4.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
G.I. Joe Retaliation, Transformers 1 and 3.
We're not talking about G.I. Joe 1, right?
No, we're not. I said really good.
Okay. So G.I.
Rise of Cobra was...
I have a feeling that if you go ahead and throw The Rock in anything, you're going to go ahead and win that franchise back over with the public.
Being a huge G.I. Joe fan, like I said, I like the second one. Mm-hmm. I'm maybe in the minority. Transformers 1 and 3.
You say 1 and 3 or 1 and 2?
I like 1 and 3 myself. 2 is okay. It's kind of
when you go for the Michael Bay experience, you're going in there for... I love him. I'm not going for a very quality storyline or some supreme level of acting.
Yeah.
But I want to say that they are so much fun to watch.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong.
Sit down and enjoy it.
It comes on TNT, or I happen to throw the Blu-ray in because I need some shits and giggles. I'm watching part 2. But I mean, like what you would think of and what you would think that other people would think of as like a good quality movie. So I really couldn't come up with 10. I couldn't come up with 5, bro.
It's really hard to cover those because a lot of we got Chips out right now, and it looks funny, so I'll give it a try. But that's.
I think you're only saying that because you work in a movie theater.
No, I'm not really serious. Like, there's movies that I can see for free.
That movie looks fucking terrible.
I like Dax Shepard. Okay,
so do I.
But so I'm gonna still give it a chance. And if it looks terrible, guess what? I'm gonna go in there.
You walk out and go back to work.
Walk out, go back. Yeah, that's how it works.
You can take a 15-minute and check out 15 minutes of it, and be like, you know what? I can give this the whole hour and a half. I'll come back when my shift is over. Yeah. You ever do that?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We'll get caught.
What a stupid idea! How dare you, junkie?
Right.
Okay. So no top 10. Maybe next week. Top 10.
Definitely do.
So I think that's about where we're at now. I really enjoyed you kind of dropping some Power Ranger knowledge on me. You know what I enjoyed? I enjoyed watching you get so passionate because I get passionate about other things.
Well,
I love seeing that in you.
There's a lot of positivity came out of the Power Rangers universe, and I'm saying that's probably another reason why it's so strong right now.
Made a bunch of kids happy.
Well, not just that. It actually it brought values with them. So it wasn't just we got to save the day or save the world. There was real world problems that they'd have to come together to solve. Yeah. That these weren't all the normal popular kids,
right?
But now you have a collective that needs to come together to solve problems, to overcome to overcome adversaries or obstacles, and to give you a little insight. They're saying that understanding is great.
Yeah,
that they're enforcing that tolerance is great, and I think it's a huge thing for me. And every time I get a chance to meet one of the Rangers at a convention or something like that, I personally thank them for being involved with that. Because as much as we want to say that, raising a child is all going to be how a parent raises them, there's a lot of outside sources that will change or cause things to develop in them. And I think Power Rangers has been one of those positive things that actually added to me growing up to being the guy that I am now. Because it emphasized leadership, understanding, teamwork, and the importance of doing the right thing for the right reasons.
So the decent man you are today, we have Power Rangers to thank for it.
That's not solely Power Rangers, but it definitely
10%,
added in there,
like 10%. Then.
Yeah.
So they had many real world problems to deal with. Clearly, teen pregnancy was not one of them because no one was getting laid. But that's fine. Yeah. I understand. Doesn't always have to be about sex, junkie.
No. You need to calm down with that. It's been a while for you, hasn't it?
You have no idea.
Want another kid? Go tell your wife you want more kids. Because you love them in your life.
Yes, I love them so much. Well, that's our show for this week. We'd like to thank you all for joining us. I just want to say, please feel free to send us your show topic ideas. We're open to your ideas as long as they're not shitty. because ours are so amazing. Please feel free to email me. You can email me at actionfigurejunkie@yahoo.com, or you can find Wade at DH Huerta. That's HUERTA 1984. Best year for movies. That's a topic for another podcast. You can also find me on Instagram at Action Figure Junkie, where I show you pictures of my silly action figures.
But really what he means is there's wiener pics on there, so go have a gander.
It's nothing but action figure dick pics. So I want to try something new for the end of our show. This is a surprise I'm busting on you right now. I want to do a quote from a movie quote that's kind of nerd. It's a nerd-related movie. Mm-hmm. And if our listeners out there know the movie, they can name the movie. They can email me at actionfigurejunkie@yahoo.com, and I'll plug them. I can plug their Twitter. I'll plug their Instagram, whatever they say when they want me to plug. If they get the movie right, I'll plug it. So you ready? Are you ready for my movie quote?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do this.
All right, okay. But don't say it if you know it, obviously, because I know you.
No, it's a good thing you clarified that. I would have jumped up and I'm like, hot damn.
Okay, ready? Go. If you're good at something, never do it for free. Okay, you know it. I bet you know it. Okay. So if you know it, email me and let me know. You're going to email me right now. Okay, so I want to thank Wade.
You're welcome.
For being an awesome partner and schooling me on the ways of the Power Rangers, the Mighty Morphins. I appreciate your time, and I want to thank you guys for listening. Without you, we are nothing. So please tell a friend. If you like our podcast, please go rate it. Give us some 5 stars. We could really use some 5 stars. So really appreciate your time, people. Have a wonderful week. May the force be with you.
I love you.
Love you too.
Not you, but them.
Oh, well, yeah,
you a little bit. Them more.
Cool. Yeah, I love them more. Nerds unite, baby.
Bump it.
This has been an Infamous Works production. Copyright Infamous Works 2017. All rights reserved. We claim no rights to the music used in the show. We are just fans of it. Find us at www.infamousworks.com.